Hey, welcome back to Savoring Success. Another episode here with Riccardo.
Hello.
How are you, man?
Very good, man. How are you?
I'm great. So, on today's video, we're going to be smoking a Aladino Classico, and this is a Puro, a Honduran Puro, which means that all the leaves are from Honduras. I haven't tried this. As you can see, it's a brand new box. So, I'm really looking forward to trying the cigar with Riccardo and his wine.
In today's video, we are going to be drinking a Valpolicella Ripasso. So it's not just your normal Valpolicella, it's actually a Ripasso. Standard-wise, wine usually goes through the fermentation process, but this goes through a second fermentation, which is why it's called Ripasso, which means in Italian basis repast. And it's usually put into steel tanks with the dried grapes from something like Amarone or Recioto. And then it goes through a second fermentation process that has a bit more body and tannins to it. Typically kind of overripe cherries or red berries, and it's a medium to full body red wine. So I'm hoping it pairs lovely with Lisardo's Cigar.
All right, Riccardo. So tell me, what's the topic for today?
Well, how these conversations usually work is I come down and usually get into a conversation before we start recording, and then we're like, oh, that's quite a good thing to talk about. And I think when we do these videos, we've always got, I mean, we both got kind of young kids, young boys, right?
Yeah.
But we always got our boys in the forefront.
Definitely.
Whenever we're doing these videos, it's like every topic that we pick, we do overall have the boys.
Yeah. We end up relating to,
I know we do.
being a
It's
father
fatherhood,
or
yeah,
the kids.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was interesting. And I thought, you know, a lovely kind of sentiment, I suppose, with these videos is one day we ain't going to be here. You know? God forbid, should something ever happen and you're not here tomorrow.
Yeah.
I suppose these videos are also lovely little lessons that your boys growing up could also
Definitely.
kind of explore your views and opinions
My mind.
on manhood, masculinity, life, society, whatever.
Yeah.
So that being said, I thought an interesting topic to discuss would be on the road of the youth and the masculinity is, should men cry?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? I will say...
Thank you for asking. Of course you can cry.
I'm sure wipe your tears. You know, I before you go into that, I mean, I will say that is worth noting. You know the classic saying, strong men create easy times. Easy times create
Weak
men. Weak men create hard times create strong men.
Yeah. Strong
Men is to start again. Now, I think in our society, for a long time, go through the 70s, 80s, 90s, then getting on to the 2000s, I suppose, in a way, economically, the way the world is going, it's been easier. Like, it was easier kind of to make money. Like, you talk about the property, how it used to go up. Inflation wasn't so bad. There wasn't so many recessions that had happened. But I think we've been in relatively easy times. So it's kind of, it seems like it's created weak men.
Yeah.
Because it's almost done a full circle. Back in the day, going back to our fathers and the older generations, it was very much seen as, no, men don't cry. We're strong, we're manly, we don't cry. Then it became this whole thing that, no, that's actually very toxic and oppressing to men's feelings, and that men should be in touch with their emotional side and they should be able to cry. So then it's kind of gone so far the other way that I don't even know if they're bloody men anymore.
They cry too much now.
Now they cry too much. And it's almost doing a full circle. It's almost like this masculine kind of role, and the youths coming up are wanting to be more manly, but it's almost they don't really know where to look. And they're starting to go back to the original concept of, no, I don't think men should cry, actually.
Yeah. It's hard for them because there are not many role models around anymore.
Healthy.
Strong, healthy, strong men around. When it comes to the point of if men should cry or can cry, man, if you've got a problem, just let it out, man. I don't have an issue with that. Don't be a pussy, a wolf, but...
A wolf?
What's a wolf? What's a pussy, no? What do you call it?
What you call a wolf?
Don't be a bitch.
A girl.
A wuss.
A wuss.
Don't be a wuss. But, you know, if you got issues and stuff, I think it's better to work them out. Whether you work them out by yourself or with somebody else, that's up to you. But I do see a big problem with the youth nowadays, where there are not many men around to look up to, and then you end up looking up to these social media men,
Yeah, the wrong kind of people.
the wrong kind of people, because they're the only ones kind of like shouting, like, be a man, do this, do that. And then they go like to the extreme, to the other side. There's a guy on YouTube, Creek Wrangler, something like that. He's an old guy with a beer. He smokes cigars as well. He gives some great advice, but he's an older guy, like 60 or 70, I don't know.
Does he cry on video?
No, he doesn't cry on video, but he gives great advice. Now, he says it himself. He wasn't a great man throughout his youth or even as an adult and stuff.
Yeah.
But he hit the point when he's like, realized, shit, this is not how things are. And he became a better person. Now he explains his journey and stuff and gives examples and he helps. You know, I think the generation of our fathers, for example, came from wars. A lot of them here in the UK, for example, and the US.
They came from hard times, which created the strong men. They are strong men.
Yes, but a lot of them were broken. You know, the ones that went to, I know my grandfather, for example, emotionally broken.
Yeah.
Maybe the things they done or the things they did, seen. And then they went great fathers. So those men, those broken men that were broken because of the war and the situation they were put on, created broken men. Yeah, the kids, which would be maybe our fathers.
Do you think being broken is a bad thing then?
It depends, man, because those broken men created broken fathers, yeah, which then didn't have any feelings or when good parents, because they didn't have a good dad, so they didn't know how to be a good dad. They created another generation of shitty dads that are willing just to get a woman pregnant and leave, and you know they kind of like giving up on like life is hard and all this bullshit.
That's not being a man.
Yeah, but I'm saying broken men.
Okay.
Not men. Not men with issues.
Quite a broad
broken
term.
men.
Quite a broad term.
Men that don't know what a real man is, basically. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So these guys now they're not responsible or anything because they never had a real role model, and that's what we're seeing with the youth now. They're trying to. I think social media in a way is good and bad. In a way, you have more access to information. People like this older gentleman that I'm telling you, you will listen to him and you're like, oh shit, this is another way of looking at life or dealing with life or living life. And then they start, the youth now is looking like, you know, maybe we can do things this way instead of doing it like my dad did and left me kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find a way to get back to, you know, being responsible and being good men and hardworking and fighting for yourself and stuff. But it is hard, man. Although we have the internet and you have access to a lot of people, not many are doing the proper job. I'm not saying either that I'm doing here that.
Oh God, you're such a hero.
So what do you think? I've seen you cry, man. So don't lie.
Yeah, it's usually on a Thursday, Monday morning.
When the bills come in.
Yeah, that's a painful one. I'm gonna be quite not controversial, but almost devil's advocate to what you're saying. For me personally, I actually don't think men should cry. For the reason being that I think there's a time and a place.
Yeah, the time and a place. You can't just be around whining about life. Just man up. But I mean, if you got issues,
that's what I'm saying.
If you got issues that, you know, you're depressed, you want to jump off a bridge.
All right, but if times got hard and you felt overwhelmed, would you cry?
Maybe.
Gay?
I don't know. I forgot the last time I cried, but actually, I remember when I cried. When my boy was born.
Oh yeah, but that's happy.
Well, I cried. Crying is crying, bro. Man, what's crying? You're asking me.
All right. So basically, I know it's quite a broad term, really. Is I suppose there's a lot of different circumstances and scenarios, but I think overall, as a whole, I mean, I don't think men should cry. For the point being that I think a part of being a man is having absolute, like emotional strength. So crying is almost like you can't control your emotions and you can't retain them inside. There'll be a time and a place where you can, and you let it go. Should it be on your own? At most, in front of loved ones, family. Would I really advise doing it in front of your wife? Probably not. But
it depends who your wife is as well. It depends on the relationship you have.
Yeah, but no wife wants some bitch man crying all the time just because things got hard. You're supposed to be their strength, man.
I know, but again, so remember we're talking to a wider audience here, yeah? saying that you shouldn't cry in front of your wife at all.
Yeah.
Some people might take it like, oh shit, I can't cry at all because she's gonna look.
Yeah,
I think it depends, bro.
Nah.
If depending on the type of relationship you have, yeah, you might, not saying that I do it, but you might cry in front of your wife, like open up to her, or things like that. I think that'll be fine. Now whining all the time like a little bitch,
Yes.
that's wrong, because she needs a man. She doesn't
Yes.
need a little bitch next to her.
100%.
So if that's your point, yes, that's correct.
That is exactly my point.
But if your son is sick, if look, shit is hard, you're depressed, you want to jump off a bridge, and you go and you cry to your wife, I don't think that's an issue.
Weak.
I don't think that's being weak, bro. You need to also work out your stuff, innit? Like either that or just be
Yeah,
a
but you're not
horrible
going to cry
husband.
over your problems just because it's got hard.
No, if I don't know, man. I've never been depressed, so I don't understand. But I've seen people depressed, and it looks kind of weird, man. It looks like a lot. It looks like a lot. I don't understand.
Depressed people look weird.
No, weird in the sense like it's weird to understand what's going on through the head.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like for example, we have a famous reggaeton singer, yeah. Bro, the guy's making millions. He's got women, cars, families around. It's not like these singers that are like by themselves, family don't love them. No, this guy got a crew around them of people that love him. And he went through depression. And I find it really weird to understand how that works. But I respect it, I've lucky never had it. Hopefully never get depressed. I think it takes different kind of mindset to get
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything. I'm not an expert on, but if you're going through a tough time, I think it's fine to speak out. Just don't be a whiny bitch, especially around people who are looking up to you for support, like your wife, your kids, society. Chill, man.
I believe in emotional intelligence. You should be emotionally intelligent enough to understand your emotions and understand what affects you, but also be strong enough to either hold it in if you need to, or learn how to overcome it and understand what you need to do. You need to be able to just face whatever problem is in front of you and just deal with it. Shit is hard. Life is hard. It's literally as simple as that. You can't run from it.
And I think that's a good point. Life is hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of men, or people in general, because we grew up in a very nice society. We live a very easy life compared to our grandparents. So there's an expectation that life is easy.
Generalizing.
Yeah, that life is easy. But realistically, no, life is hard. People are hard. Humans are hard to deal with. But also, it depends on how you interpret life and how you deal with it. Because if you get affected by any little thing...
I'll give you some scenarios then. If you behind on bills, you got yourself into a whack of debt, you hate your job, and you feel like your wife doesn't like you anymore, should you cry?
So none of those things that you mentioned would be a reason to cry. That's a reason just to man up and sort your shit out, man.
It is important to establish the difference, because everyone's going to take this it's a very broad term and you can generalize it.
Yeah.
But I suppose each situation is very individual. But we're just going to define what's being a bitch and what's actually being in control of your emotions.
Yeah. So those things, no, you shouldn't cry, man. You should actually man up and go out there and deal with it and sort it out.
Your father died?
Maybe you can cry.
Where and when?
Well, again, that's different for everybody.
Would you walk down the street crying?
I wouldn't. But
Should you though? The question was, should men cry?
I don't know, man. That's a difficult situation. I don't know. I think I would. I don't know. I think I would probably cry.
Walking down the street.
But I'm the kind of person who will cry by myself.
You just pop into Tesco and the thought comes in your head. Do you start crying?
No, man. I wouldn't. I don't know. I've never. Obviously, my dad is still alive, so I haven't been through that. But no, I'm the kind of person who will. Something like that happens, I would probably cry like 2-3 months later.
Yeah.
First, I'll be busy trying to make sure the family's manning up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, that's being a man.
Yeah.
Thinking that the family's fine, get all this stuff ready, because obviously there's a process about it. Deal with all of this, and then eventually, I think it'll come to a point that I'll sit down and think about it, and maybe then I will cry.
If you stubbed your toe, would you cry?
Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, that's different, isn't it? Like if you
That's different. That really hurts. If someone calls you really ugly, would you cry?
I got a mirror at home, bro. I know what I look like, so I don't care really. And I think I see where you're going with this, and I hope you guys are getting the point of this. You gotta take life and interpret it the best way you can, because I'm fat. I say it out loud. I don't mind. I got a mirror. So
Would
walking.
you cry if someone called you fat?
No, man, I'm fat. What do you want me to do?
Some people will cry and say you're bullying.
I don't know. Also, I grew up in a very, very different background.
Which is my point, right?
In
Easy
Venezuela,
times, hard times.
in Venezuela,
strong
bro,
men,
like
weak
from
men.
little, they make sure you know you're fat.
100%. Damn right.
if you got big ears, they will make sure you know you got big ears.
If you fat, you fat.
Yeah.
You're gonna know you fat.
So things like that, they call it thick skin, but it's not thick skin. I think it's one, knowing who you are, what kind of person you are, and be confident with yourself. Realistically, I don't care what people think about me. Like, I make YouTube videos, bro. I'm not famous. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I know shit is going to come down in the comments, yeah? And I'm cool with it. As a matter of fact, go ahead. I want to see what you guys come up with.
It is what you said, though. It's confidence, though. Like,
It's confidence.
I tell you what, I just had on the weekend, what's today? Today is Wednesday. So Saturday, I had a big party in the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
I had a
it.
big table in the restaurant. And it's just like the pinnacle of what confidence is. It all got a bit rowdy, it got a bit late. They're all drinking too much. They were the last table left in there. So then they felt free. And, some good songs come on. And one of them takes his top off in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily in any kind of shape, right? Wicked guy, great guy, lovely guy, but just like the utmost confidence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A normal person, if they look like that, someone said something like, "Oh, you're fat," and they get really offended. No, you can't say that. That's bullying. You're not allowed to have an opinion on what I look like. You should be happy with you, but which is true. There's a fine line between that. So this guy takes his top off, puts a glass of red wine on his head, and just squats down.
Oh,
and then
shit.
squats back. I was actually more impressed with how the fuck the glass did not fall off his head.
Yeah, perfect form.
But it's just like, I'm like, do you know what? Respect to you, though.
Yeah.
Respect to you that you've got the confidence to even fucking do that. Like a lot of people.
I don't. Never.
No.
Even when I wasn't fat all the time, yeah. So even when I was skinny and stuff, I never, like, I used to see my friends that, like, when it's hot, take the shirt off and stuff. Never. It's not a thing that I'm. Maybe it's not so much that I'm not
like
confident.
A one bikini.
Mankini.
Mankini.
It's not about. I don't think that comes to confidence, because I'm cool. I'm not fat. I ain't got an issue with that. I think it's more like I just don't like showing my body. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like some girls like showing their body, some don't.
I bet if you were ripped, you would, though.
I don't know.
Yeah, you would.
I don't know.
Yeah, you would.
I don't know, because when I was in high school, I looked alright, bro, and I still didn't.
Yeah, you would.
Even shorts and stuff. I'm a bit
If you
like.
were chiseled with abs, I reckon you'd do it.
I get tan.
Yeah, you would. You would.
Anyway, stop dreaming about me, man. Men crying.
Men
crying.
Makes me cry.
See? I make him cry. I think a lot of issues with this generation, for example, is one, they're not happy with themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? And like I said,
Or their situation.
yeah, or the situation, or the partner they're with, and everything. But I am a true believer that apart from death, everything has a choice.
Everything.
Yeah?
Always.
Your wife is horrible, move out. Dump her, move out. You got kids and stuff, the kids are one thing,
Well,
the
hang on.
wife is
I will
another.
stop you there. Your wife. This is a bit different.
Why?
So if your wife is horrible, you just move out?
Yeah, man.
You wouldn't just sit down and say, no, this is how it's going to
Oh,
fucking
well, of
go.
course, innit?
Or I'm fucking moving out. I mean, it's your wife. That's the point of marriage,
you
right?
ain't just gonna walk away like, oh, you,
Right, that's what I'm
you
saying.
call me fat, I'm leaving.
If it was
No.
just like some little side whatever and it was a girlfriend
No,
or whatever,
I
then
mean
you turn
like
around and get
this is a
fucked that.
toxic relationship. You've told her, bitch, you're horrible, and she carries on being horrible. Move out. If you're unhappy, move out. If she's cheating on you, leave her. Yeah, because this is something that the reason I touch about the wife or the girlfriend and stuff. A lot of men think you can't find another girl. Yeah, or this is the only one, or you fall in love with her, and oh my God, no. There is a saying: "There's plenty more fish in the sea," and it is true.
Depends what ocean you're in, man.
Go to Venezuela, South America.
Oh,
Beautiful ocean. Yeah, just move out, man. Don't stress about things like that, because it's better. Something that I say all the time about relationship: it's better to be alone and at peace than be with somebody in a war. Yeah, because it's really nice when you finish work and you come home and you know you can go to have a fight with anybody. You enjoy coming home because you're gonna relax. Yeah, you might be sad, you might feel lonely. But these are things that will, eventually you get used to it. Same way as you got used to living with somebody or sharing your life with somebody, you'll get used to being alone. Then, if you still want a relationship, there's still more opportunities. Always think about this. This is something that I truly believe. There is millions of humans in the world, yeah, men and women. There is somebody going for a similar situation as you. There's another girl who has a twat of a boyfriend, and she's fed up of him. She's gonna leave him. You're gonna leave your partner, and maybe one day you guys get together and happy days. I prefer to be happy than to be with somebody or be at a job that you're miserable at.
Happy is a dangerous word.
Peaceful.
Yes.
I think peace is the thing, man.
Yeah.
For me, happiness is peace.
Because you can get happiness from many things which are not going to benefit you. Happiness is a dangerous word as a man. Don't think you should be focused on happiness. Happiness comes as a result.
Be too happy.
Well,
and cry.
Yeah.
All the time.
I'm going to go and, again, be devil's advocate to something you said earlier about broken men. You said about father's generations. There is no real strength without being broken first.
I get what you mean, man, but
Every strong man has trauma.
What I was trying to say was this. These broken men weren't good fathers. So the kids grew up being, that's the example they had.
Mm-hmm.
Being a bad dad. Either beating them up or not being around or not giving them attention or love or anything. Now, I'm talking about 6-7-year-old kids growing up with a dad like that, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's the example they had. So if that's the example they had, that's who they become.
They'll replicate that to their kids.
And then it takes a smart person, whether a man or a woman, because women have the same issue in this sense, to want to break the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of what has happened, apart from like media and stuff feeding us crap, the amount of single mothers out there because the man just walks out who can't deal with this. Too much for me. And stuff like that.
Oh, that's a dodgy road to go down.
Exactly. It's both ways. Yeah, both ways. Because some guy, like I just said, if she's horrible, just leave. If you got kids, take care of the kids, but leave. You don't have to stay. I truly believe that. But you should also make sure she's the right one before you have a kid.
Yeah, we touched on this in one video before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be very, very careful who you have kids with.
Yeah.
We have said this once before.
And it's easy, man. Just wear a condom.
It ain't the same.
Bro, it is. To me, yeah, to me.
Shut up. I don't care what you're going to say.
No. Listen.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Fine. I understand that. And to anybody watching, yes, it's not the same. But it's maybe 85% similar to what you're getting. But it's 100% proven that if she's not the one, you can still walk out with no problems.
Well, I don't know if it's 100%.
Yo, bro, if it breaks, you know it broke. I don't know. I was very, very... And I tell I already had this conversation with my son.
Already,
man. Bro, it's amazing
Really?
stuff they
Already?
find out in school, man. He just comes back from school like that.
Already?
So this is what he said. Yeah, he said, Dad, so I know what sex is. But I don't understand how you can have sex without getting the girl pregnant then. That was the question.
He asked you this.
That was his question.
Well, you can't escape that.
So I was like, tell me why you think sex is.
Is some kind of cake?
So I wanted to know what he knew about it, innit? So tell me what you think sex is. And he said, look, this is what he said to me. You see National Geographic, innit? That's what he said to me.
With that giraffe.
That's what he said to me. He said, well, it's the same thing, Dad, but the man and the woman, and So yeah, like he explained it, and I was like, okay, cool. So I had to explain how to protect yourself and why and all of this. In school, man, not just school, like social media, YouTube, everything, the news, like movies and stuff. It doesn't take a genius to realize what sex is, innit?
Oh man,
I mean,
it is bad.
we're talking about a 10-year-old, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it surprises a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I got my eldest, who is like, let's say my stepson, for example, he's my eldest, but he's 12. And I mean, even that we don't really talk. But again, similar to you, we had this conversation in one of the videos before about social media. Like we don't put him on social media. He's not on social media.
Yeah.
He knows bits, but I mean, maybe we need to have a conversation.
Try, check, just test the waters. What do you know about this? And see how far he knows. I'm telling you, it's easy, man. You just gotta watch movies. You don't
This
even
is
have.
the beautiful thing about these conversations, though. We're just like we're real-time parents. We're not standing here saying we know it all. This is
Yeah, and you see like what's happening to me hasn't happened to him. So now he's worried. He's gonna go and check, because again, my son doesn't have social media, but it was either in school or through TV, movies and stuff. Because again, we keep an eye on what he watches.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take a genius either, man. Come on. You just gotta have a bit. It's different. It's different to when our parents were growing up, where if they saw underwear was a sin, to where we grew up.
Yeah.
That it was the top row where you could see the Playboy magazines.
Oh yeah.
To these kids nowadays, there's like wide and open. You just watch a music video and you can see what sex is about.
Yeah. I love the naivety though. My youngest are 3 and 4. The youngest one, complete daddy's boy. The 4-year-old's complete mummy's boy.
Yeah.
And the narrative of the conversation is that I birthed the youngest, and he grew in my tummy.
Oh, that's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he thinks. He thinks I gave birth to him, and then Soph, my wife, gave birth to
the other one,
the middle one. Yeah,
it's crazy the way
the naivety, and then one day you're gonna have to burst that bubble.
My oldest boy, his first thing was, again, I think it was through TV. We were watching a program about plants and seeds and stuff. Yeah, he was like 5 or 6. He was very little, and he turned to my wife and said, "So how was I born? How do you have a baby? Because I know it's in your belly." And my wife said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "Do you also eat a seed?" Did you eat the seed?
Yes, she ate the seed.
My wife was like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. Like I said, this is why these conversations are lovely, because we again, it's exactly my point. We always come back to the kids, don't we?
And actually, we think the podcast, because when we started the podcast, we knew we were going to continue doing what we were doing with other cameras, which was smoking and drinking a wine. But we didn't really know which direction we wanted to take this. Mm-hmm. We've now realized that all the podcasts and all the conversations when we sit down on this setting normally come to what's going on in society and how our kids are going to grow up in that society. Yeah. Obviously, we talk about business and other stuff, but we think they're a bit more private as we talk about our personal businesses.
Yeah.
So I think the channel is taking that direction. So if you're enjoying that and you want to listen to more of this, subscribe, because the channel is coming together to something really nice. Yeah.
I suppose there's a lot of bad things to social media, isn't there? There's a lot of great things as well. And like I said, the beauty of things like this is that all this is documented, it's uploaded. One day our kids will be able to log onto it.
Yeah.
And they'll see what our views and opinions were. And, you know, to be fair, views and opinions, they change as you get older and as you go through different phases and stages of your life, and they do change at this age.
This is how we
think. I'm 18, you're 19, so we're still very young.
Damn, when did I stop wearing condoms?
I was going to say, why did it take you so long to clock onto that?
When did I stop wearing condoms? I already have a 10-year-old.
Jesus.
I was 9. Yeah.
Things change throughout, opinions and change. So it's great for our kids to even just be able to see this when they're older.
I think our opinions are going to change as society will change.
Probably.
Because
that's a good point to make, yeah.
Because I really believe, and it's like you mentioned, I don't know if we were already live recording or not. Hard times, strong men, easy times, weak men. So I think at the moment we're at the beginning of hard times starting to create stronger men, or at least
100%.
men looking at
No, that's exactly what I
at
think.
being a bit stronger.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that movement of
At the minute, we're in a middle pile of a load of weak men.
yeah.
We're just in a shit of weak men. But like we said, weak men create.
I mean, how
hard times.
can men be so weak nowadays, bro, that they want to become a woman to beat him at their sport when you're shit on a man's sport?
You would
man
know.
up and beat a man in a man's sport.
You would know, man.
Yo, don't say stuff like that in front of the camera, man.
Lisardo.
You know where I come from.
Venezuela, baby. But if you were a woman who felt like a man and you were told you're not allowed to go into men's toilets, would you cry about it?
Well, no.
If you were a man that felt like a woman, you couldn't go to a woman's toilet, would you cry about it?
Of course, man. See, all of these examples you're giving is just you minding up. It's like, again,
which is the point I'm trying to
calling me
make.
fat is my decision. I could go tomorrow, stop eating, go to the gym. Okay, some people might have a disease, have illnesses and stuff like that. That's a bit different. Okay, but again, there's a lot of stuff to help you nowadays, as in like medicine and all of this. You know, that's I think that's different. If you're sick and you're fat because you're sick, yeah, or you have an illness that you can't move, and that's the reason why you can't exercise and you're fat. Cool. You know, you might feel bad. I understand why you feel bad for being fat because you can't move, but me. Yeah, I'm fat because I want to be fat, man. So if I'm offended, then I'll go to the gym more often.
If I said your hat was rubbish, would you cry?
Of course, man. This is a nice
I'd definitely be crying.
No,
over that.
don't play with my hat, man. I know you're making this stupid example, let's say, but
Well-
people do get offended.
Who said they're stupid? I'm making very serious allegations.
I am very
very
saying
serious
stupid.
questions here.
To me, that's a stupid comment, bro. I just laugh at you, yeah. But I do know people who will get offended.
I suppose, which is the point of what why
Exactly.
we're saying what we're saying. Should men cry? Why, where, and when? Now, if your father died, I think that allows you
Or your
to
mother
be able
or
to
your kid.
release some energy in terms of my father just fucking died. But if shit gets hard, that does not warrant you to fucking cry.
I don't.
Life is hard, and it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. Life is hard.
And as a matter of fact, life is hard, but it ain't hard like it used to be. So if you're crying now, you're just being a bitch. It might be hard.
It's hard in a different way.
I think it would be hard if we were in Gaza and you're saying life is hard and you cry because your whole family is gone.
If your whole family...
And you can go nowhere. That's hard.
100%. If your whole family got blown up and their legs are fucking hanging off, then...
That's hard.
Do you know what?
Cry, man. Cry.
You could cry. I would not
I'll
judge you
join
if you
you.
bloody cried.
I'll
But if you
join
cry, because life is hard, you got bills to pay, you're in debt, your wife doesn't love you anymore, maybe you just lost your house, your car got repossessed, life got tough, that does not warrant you to cry. Get your head down, face the challenges, and get on with it, man. Get on with it, work at it, get better. Because if all these things are gone, it's because you lost something within yourself.
Yeah.
You need to get better. If you get better, life will get better. Get better. What if you get the kind of person, like, well, I suppose to be a typical feminist, that would come to you and turn around and say, well, no, if you want to cry, you should cry. It's actually toxic to keep it inside. You should release that energy, release those tears. Then you're going to feel a lot better. Do you know what I mean? Once you create that mindset, that habit of crying all the time to everything, and you just become this whining bitch all the time about every problem that happens, what do you think about modern day men with that approach?
So I think if you have all this build up fucking energy inside of you, have a cry.
Do you?
Cry the once, let it out, but you gotta man up. You can't stay crying forever.
I think do an hour on boxing pads and you'll feel much
Or something like that.
You know what I mean?
You gotta release the energy somehow.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think you should sit there and cry. And especially, and I suppose maybe we'll use this final point to wrap up. But you know, we'll go back to the point about crying in front of your wife.
Yeah.
You think you should cry in front of your wife?
It depends the situation, bro. If my kid is sick and I'm really bad,
right?
You know, I wouldn't cry because of bills.
Right.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Like that's not a reason to cry, especially in front of your wife.
Yeah.
But if she's ill, she has cancer or something, dude, I'll cry. I'm sad for her. I feel her pain. You know, that's different.
But for me, this comes down to what I was saying earlier about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have to be emotionally intelligent, but also emotionally strong. Because if you're emotionally weak, you'll just cry at everything. And you never actually deal with your problems except for crying at them.
Yeah.
You can't cry at your problems. You've got to deal with your problems.
Deal with your shit, because that's the only way you're going to come out of it.
You know what? I could tickle the idea that you do cry. It's cool. We all make mistakes. We all get to a certain point in our life. But take that as the sign. The shit needs to change. If you do find yourself crying an awful amount, or even one too many times, take that as a sign that you need to just get strong, get better, and sort your shit out. Don't allow yourself to continue with that mindset, because it's a very, like, when you go down that rabbit hole of that's your response to when things get difficult, I think that's a dark road to go down.
I mean, and this is for my kids, if you ever watch this. Things sometimes, and I've learned this as I go older, sometimes you think things are hard. Yeah? Sometimes you look at a bill, or you got a letter from a solicitor, or you crash your car, whatever. And you think like, damn, and you feel depressed, and you feel sad, and this and this and that. Just look at it as it is. This is a problem I gotta solve. The only thing you cannot solve is death, or if you're sick. And even if you're sick, you can still go try and find a way to get out of it. And I think that is the problem nowadays with what's happening. People take things so serious or so deep, or I don't know, they get so involved in the problem, instead of just looking at the problem and say, look, I got this problem. How do I sort it out? I got to do A, B, C. It's going to take me 5, 10, 20 years. Cool. I sort it out. I got to do it. And then you work at it. I think what happens is people just go through life, easy mode. They get problem. Another problem, and another problem, another problem. Instead of sorting them out. And life is hard, but the problems that come in life are not that difficult to deal with. And you're not the only one going through that. Yeah, and there's people going through worse things. Like we just said, the people in Gaza who have lost the whole family. Kids who are going to grow up without any lineage. You don't even know who your mom or your grandfather is going to be because they're not there.
Yeah.
That is hard. There are kids in Venezuela, in South America, in Africa, all of these countries, 8, 9-year-old living on the street. That is hard.
Yeah.
For the 8, 7, 6, 5-year-old living on the streets. Think about all the stuff that can happen to a kid like that.
Yeah.
That is hard.
Yeah. Do you know what problems are actually good? The only time that you don't have problems is when you're dead. Having problems is a sign that you're alive.
And that's how you grow and learn.
100%. I mean, the bigger the problems, the bigger the life, man. The more you want in life, the more problems you're going to have. Do you know when your car is dusty? If I drew a penis in it, would you cry?
You offended my car. No, man.
Good. Stop crying. Stop being a bitch. Pinche cabrón.
Pinche cabrón.
That's such a great word. Pinche. Stop being a pinche cabrón every time you cry.
I know, man.
Would you cry if your cat died?
Fuck no, man. It's got to be like.
What's wrong with animals, you heartless man?
To cry. I understand a lot of people love the dogs and the cats and stuff, but it is the circle of life, you know. Like we're gonna die, and I don't think there's a big difference between a cat dying and my wife dying, bro.
Bro, it's a living thing.
Of course.
It was a part of the family.
Of course.
All right.
There's nothing wrong
Your
with it.
cat
Cool, I
died,
get it. I get it.
deserves
I
some
know you're a
tears
cat
shed.
person. I know you're a cat person. Chill, man. I get it. But again, that is not a reason for me to cry. Ponte los pantalones bien puestos and deal with your shit.
I couldn't have said it better.
Cojones.
Couldn't have said it better.
Coño. Anyway, it was a long chat. This is also for my kids to learn how, and his kids, how we think.
To carve a path.
Yeah. And if any of you guys are watching and like it, great. Let us know in the comments.
Until next time.
Bye-bye. Bitch, making me sound like I cry all the time.